All right, folks, welcome to the Sebas podcast. I am Sebas, and this episode is just going to be me talking to you. It's going to be me doing some social commentary. It's going to be me talking about some stuff going on in life. And uh, I just got done doing a Facebook Live that talked about this episode. So if you saw that, you know what's coming. But I'll, really, um, I am I am so blessed and grateful and happy to have this outlet for me. I know I've said this a couple different times now. You know, being able to have a creative outlet of any kind, especially during these times, is crucial and vital. For those of you who feel like you're stuck, for those of you who feel like you've got nothing, um, finding a way to be creative can give you an outlet that can really help you out, and for some people might even save your life. So uh, if you're new to the show, like, comment, subscribe, share, do all the clicky things wherever you find me. Okay. uh, Primarily we're on Facebook and YouTube. I also use Rumble, and uh, I also do the traditional audio podcast, and you can find that at Anchor, and that's anchor.fm, and you can search Seabass Podcast, Seabass Podcast. So getting into some things, um, you know, on the 21st, which was Monday, I got cleared to return to work. So that's a happy thing. For those listening on the audio, you won't be able to see it, but for those looking on the video, you can see my scar on my left elbow there. Um, it's not nearly as significant as it was. Um, it's still a little tender to the touch on the inside. Uh, the doctor had to move the nerve. When you hit your elbow and you get that electric shock all down and you hit your funny bone, that's not really a bone, it's a nerve. And it's the older nerve that runs through the cubital tunnel. So that nerve for me was really damaged and really compressed. And my doctor, Dr. Rowley, who I really love and appreciate, has brought some relief to my life. My arm and hand don't hurt anymore, and I'm really grateful to him and his work. Uh, yeah, it's good. Yeah, Dr. Rowley, good guy. Um, he is an experienced orthopedic surgeon. He's a guy that I trust. He's a guy that I work with, and I would recommend any of my family or my friends to go see him for orthopedic issues. Um, you can Google his name, Dr. Rowley, find out where he works. I I don't want to name drop the business. I don't want to name drop the hospital that I work at. I want to try to preserve that a little bit, um, for the simple fact that if I'm gonna do any kind of social commentary, I don't want people to go and uh, light up my place of work, say, "Ooh, Seabass said some stupid stuff on his podcast. You guys should fire him." Yeah, I that's already happened more than once, where people think that they can call my place of employment and try and get me fired. It's unfortunate that people do that. It's unfortunate that people live their life in such a way that they feel that they have to try to end the employment of others because they don't agree with what they say. It's an unfortunate fact of life. Just recently, I had a buddy in Florida who uh, said some things that I personally thought were hilarious, but one person took great offense to and called his employer and tried to get him fired. So it's happened to me. It's happened to friends. You probably know people that it's happened to. It's not pleasant. It's not fun. Cancel culture. We live in a time where people just feel like they can try to ruin the lives of others because they just don't agree with them. Update on my wife. So on the 7th of December, she had gastric bypass surgery at in Salt Lake City with a Dr. Palk. And since the 7th, she is down 3% body fat. She's down 22 pounds and inches everywhere. So, for those of you who have asked how she's doing great. For those of you who have been asking for specifics, those are it. So, I'm hoping that we are able to continue to have success. So Shannon says that her appointment went really well today. She was able to meet with one of the physician assistants in the clinic down there. Her incisions are healing really well, and she has been cleared for uh, exercise, everything except for crunches. So, everything except for abdominal exercise, she's been cleared for. Uh, you know, and so from the 7th to the 23rd is, not even 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks and a couple of days, and to be down 20 plus pounds. Uh, you know, this is wildly successful. So, uh, she and I both are finding our new normal when it comes to eating food and portion sizes. Shannon's is drastically smaller than mine, but I'm working on making mine smaller. By no stretch of the imagination am I a small guy. I've got a gut and I've struggled with weight all my life. Uh, it's part of the reason that I left the military is because of my weight. Um, and I'm not shy about talking about that anymore. I was in a car accident several years ago that left me injured, unable to perform and meet standards. So I was let go from the military. Something that I struggled with for a long time mentally. And now that Shannon has had bariatric surgery, that's my cue to eat better and to do better and to exercise more, uh, so that I can keep up with her. Folks, today as well was a really big day for me personally, and it was a day that and a moment that I didn't think that I would be quite so emotional about. Um, you know, I'm not really sad, um, but I'm really hopeful for the future. I got a text message from my manager at around noon today that said the hospital that we work for had received coronavirus vaccine, and that today was going to be the first day of distribution. I texted her back right away, and I said, if nobody has volunteered to be first, I want to be the first. I want to be the first to do it. Um, and it's not for selfish reasons, and it's not for self promotion reasons. Uh, it is for the simple fact that I I want to be able to tell the people that I take care of that I've been vaccinated, and I want to be able to encourage not only the people that I take care of, but my friends, my family, my neighbors, whoever I can, uh, and encourage them to get vaccinated. There's a This is going to come off as really insensitive and kind of being mean to folks, and maybe it is, maybe it isn't. The views that I express are mine. They're not that of my employer or anybody else. So again, don't try and blow up my employer and say, well, Sebas called me an idiot because I didn't want to get the COVID vaccine. I'm going to clarify that in just a minute. Okay. So, for those of you that have the advantage of seeing on video, on YouTube, on Rumble, on Facebook. This is my vaccine record for COVID-19. I got the Moderna vaccine today, administered by a lovely lady at the place that I work. And I haven't started to grow a tail. I'm not turning into a lizard. My cell phone signal hasn't changed. And, as far as I know, nobody's tracking me. Um, for all of you folks out there that say various things about vaccines in general and now about the COVID vaccine, really and truly, we know that vaccines work. We know that they work. Yes, this one is new. And I'll give you that. This one is new. And as a nurse, I will gladly be the first in line to take it and to be able to tell you that it's safe and that you should get it. Okay. Now, there are always going to be naysayers out there. Well, Sebas, what if I get Bell's palsy? Okay, let's talk about Bell's palsy. So, Bell's palsy is a paralysis of facial nerves, typically on one side, that can mimic a stroke. Scary stuff. I get it. Scary. Half of your face goes droopy. Your tongue starts to not work. You get droopy eye. Okay. I get it. Yes, it's scary. Typically not fatal at all. And yeah, you probably get a droop from it, and it may last your lifetime. Now, let's talk a little bit of the numbers. So the numbers that I'm aware of from the studies, from the trial groups and the test groups, 4 people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 people got Bell's palsy out of the thousands in the trial groups. Now, I'm not aware whether or not these were folks who actually received vaccine or placebo. I'm sure somebody will dig and find out and be able to get that reference. If you do, put it in the comments wherever you find me, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, and let us know. Okay. So what does 4 out of the thousands tell us? One, it tells us it's not statistically significant. And the manufacturers have told us that. Now, sub bullet point. Well, Sebas, it's big pharma. They're out to lie to us, and they're out to get us, and they're out to line their pockets. Shut up, you idiot. Okay. Unless you take 0 medications and you have never had a Tylenol in your life, don't come at me with big pharma. Okay. If you so much as taken a Tylenol or an ibuprofen in your life, don't come at me with big pharma. Don't come at me with that stupid stuff about they just, they don't want to make cures. They want to keep patients paying. Shut up. Just shut up. Okay? It is important for people to understand that pharmaceutical companies are companies. They are out to make their money. I will not argue that point in the slightest. If I were able to be in charge of a multi-billion-dollar company, I absolutely would want to make billions more. You can fault me for that all you like. Okay. Now, back to Bell's palsy. So pharmaceutical manufacturers tell us 4 out of however many thousand had Bell's palsy. I'm saying it's statistically insignificant. Manufacturers tell us, and this is almost a direct quote, the chances of a person contracting Bell's palsy are the same as, guess what? If you weren't in the control group or in the test group. So whether or not you receive the vaccine bears no statistical significance as to whether or not you'll contract Bell's palsy. Well, Sebas, there's other side effects. Yeah, one is you might not get sick, and if you do get sick, it'll be a lot less worse than what it might be. Well, Sebas, it's got an over 99% survival rate. Yep, you're right. You are absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. You know what else has a high survival rate? The cold and the flu. You know what else has a high survival rate? Chicken pox and measles and polio. You know why? Because we have vaccines, and we have vaccines that work. Now, I I am very, very hopeful for the vaccines that we have. I am. So my hospital has very limited cooling capabilities. So the Moderna vaccine uh, is more temperature stable than the Pfizer vaccine. The Pfizer vaccine needs refrigeration, needs cold temperatures for storage. The Moderna vaccine is more temperature stable. So my hospital went with the Moderna. Now, uh, I have an appointment, not well, I guess an appointment. I have a return visit scheduled on the 20th to be able to get the second shot. Now, what are the numbers there? So we actually had this question during the immunization clinic at the hospital today. What's the efficacy rate that's being projected by the companies? So if you get both doses of vaccine, both companies, Pfizer and Moderna, are projecting 95-ish% uh, efficacy rate to to be immune to coronavirus with their vaccine. Okay. Now, for those folks who are not in healthcare, what does this mean for you? If you are a person who doesn't follow through on things, if you're a person who constantly needs reminded, if you're a person who just forgets stuff, like a lot of people are prone to do, and you only get the first dose of vaccine, you have a 50% uh, immunity rate, which makes sense if two doses gives you 95%, that one dose would give you about 50%. So it's 50-50 whether or not you achieve immunity with one dose. If you go and get the second dose, it's in the mid 90s. So that's pretty good, right? And again, like, I haven't sprouted a tail. My Wi-Fi signal is still just okay. The side effect that I had today is my arm's a little sore because I got poked with a needle. Kind of typical, right? I don't have any flu-like symptoms. I'm not fevered. Uh, you know, we'll see what going to bed tonight and waking up in the morning feels like. But really, it's not any worse than the flu shot. It's not. And for those of you that say, "Well, I don't get the flu shot either," phooey on you, piss on you. Okay. I'm not here to try to convince you. I'm not here to try to say that you're wrong. Okay. If you don't want to get the vaccine, that's fine. That's fine. You are allowed to not get the vaccine. Okay. And I can't force you, and I won't force you. Right. The good old United States of America, we should all be able to have the choice to say whether or not we want to have the vaccine. Okay. Now, I can encourage you and I can help educate a little bit, right? And I personally might shame you and call you an idiot, but that's between us as people, right? Just because you might disagree with me doesn't mean that I hate you. I don't. It means that we disagree. People have forgotten how to disagree with each other. I've worn the uniform of our country, and I hope to be able, even as a civilian, to be able to stand up for you and your right to say no, and for your right to decide what medical care and treatment you want. Now, can I can I do anything for you when you come to the hospital because you get sick with coronavirus? Absolutely. I will take care of you. Whether you're vaccinated or not, whether you choose to get this particular vaccine or not, if you show up to the emergency room and I end up being the nurse that has to take care of you, you will get care and you will get the highest level of care. Okay. COVID doesn't discriminate, and neither do I. So I like I'm looking at my vaccine card, and 2020 has been a hard year for all of us. We've had to put up with a lot of stuff. We've had to be very uncomfortable for a while. You know, missed dates, missed dinners, missed holidays. Not being able to go and see mom and dad or grandma and grandpa, or being able to go see great grandma at the nursing home. These all take tolls on us. Having to stay cooped up in your home takes a toll. It's part of the reason why I started this podcast, is so that I could have this outlet. You know, I don't want to be cooped up at home. I want to go out. I want to see my friends. I want to go eat dinner at a restaurant. And this has made all of that stuff incredibly hard. Folks, in the very strongest terms that I can muster, please go get vaccinated. Help everybody out. I can't guarantee that you won't have some kind of reaction. I can't. And I won't promise that. And I can't promise that. But what I can promise you is, if this thing works, you will be helping. That's where I'm at. Okay. Enough on COVID, enough on uh, lamenting about our hard time. Folks, I unfortunately have been quiet on some issues, and I hope to be a little bit more vocal on those issues in the very near future. I'm going to hold for now because I want to see how things play out. But in the future, you're gonna get some more social commentary from me that might be uncomfortable, and I hope it makes people uncomfortable, and that we can have tough conversations, but polite conversations, right? We can be disagreeable, or we can disagree without being disagreeable, right? We can disagree and you can still be my friend. We need to get back to that. I have plenty of friends who have different viewpoints than I do, and that's okay, because we're human. We're supposed to have different viewpoints. We're supposed to see things differently. I have a different lived experience than all of you, and you all have different lived experiences than I have. So we can take those things into account. We can look at those things, and we can factor those things in, and we can recognize those things in people. But to just say that somebody is wrong just for the sake of being wrong, it is in itself wrong, folks. Like, I I'm not entirely certain how to explain that better. Um, you know, just because I think you're wrong, uh, and you may very well indeed be wrong, right? But I don't have to be the prick about it. I don't have to be a jerk face about it. I don't have to make you. I don't necessarily have to make you feel bad about it, right? We might call names, and I like to call people idiots because a lot of people are. And don't get me wrong, don't get me wrong. there are lots of intelligent people around that can still be idiots, right? I was in the Army for 13 years. I met a bunch of really educated idiots. Okay. Folks, folks who were in leadership positions who who would say dumb stuff all the time, dumb stuff. Right. And then when you have folks that say, hey, that's really dumb. And then they get in trouble because nobody would take a good look and say, well, maybe that is dumb, or maybe that isn't right. Maybe there's a better way. It's funny that one of the jokes that goes around is, um, there's a platoon of people standing around. Platoon sergeant comes out with a big pot of soup, and he gives everybody a fork and says, "Okay, we have 30 minutes to eat this pot of soup. That's the mission." And then one guy, for whatever reason, has a spoon in his pocket, and he starts eating the soup with a spoon. And the platoon sergeant comes over and says, "Hey, you can't use that spoon. It's not what we were told." Well, that's the best tool for the job. Unless you're eating chicken soup, then you might be able to use a fork, but then you got to get the liquid. So we've got to be able to see past, you know, bad ideas and have hard conversations to say what's best, right? Folks, I am so grateful for your listenership. I'm going to share a story with you that really touched me and was really tender to me, that happened this week. So Monday, I went to my doctor. I got cleared, Dr. Rowley, and I took my clearance note and I went to my manager and I sat down in her office and I gave her that so that I could get back to work. However, on the way to sit down with my manager, one of my coworkers stopped me in the hallway and said, "Hey, I've been listening to your podcast." I said, "Oh, that's awesome." And she's like, "Yeah, my husband and I drove to Denver last week, and we've listened to all of them, and we really liked the episode that you did with the guy that helps veterans get employed, and that's Chuck Freiberg." Okay, I did an episode with him, and it was one of my better ones and one of my favorite ones. And she said to me, "Yeah, we really like what you're doing. We really enjoy what you're talking about." And I like that meant a lot to me. So, Deanne, I'm going to put your name out there. Thank you so much. That meant that really meant a lot to me in that moment, that you recognized what I'm doing and said that it was good, and you went out of your way to tell me that it was good. I'm really, really appreciative. Um, that's not me seeking attention. That's not me trying to bait you into clicking. I'm going to ask you for that anyway, right? Deanne's a friend, and she took 30 seconds out of what she was doing to tell me that she liked my content. Folks, as much as I say that what I'm doing is selfish and that it's for me, it is. It means the world to me that somebody out there likes it. And if I can continue to prove that people like this, I'm going to continue to make content. Some days it's going to be good, some days not so much. Now, if you would like to be on the show, you have a story to share, I'd love to have you. Love to have you. Whatever you want to talk about is what we'll talk about. That's what this is for. This is a conversational show. This is a storytelling show. This is a place for you to whatever you want to talk about, even if it's uncomfortable. Let's do it. You can contact me directly if you're good like that. If you know me directly, you can get in touch with the show by email. sebasspodcast@gmail.com, SEABASS podcast@gmail.com. You can drop me a message on Facebook, also at Sebas Podcast. If you get on Facebook, type in Sebas Podcast. If you're familiar with the show, there's a yellow icon with a guy whose head's blowing up. That's the show. Okay. Even if you're not sure, click the link. You'll find a video with my face on it. You'll know you're in the right spot. Okay. Now, this is the part of the show where I ask you to go do the clicky things: like, comment, subscribe, share. If you're so inclined, feel free to donate. I'm happy to have it, and hopefully I can use that to produce better content, and maybe get some better equipment. I like my equipment. Don't get me wrong. I like what I got. You know, maybe that helps me get a green screen. Maybe that helps me get kind of a sound booth here instead of, my kitchen walls. Okay. Folks, I'm grateful for you. Thank you for your listenership. Thank you for your viewership. I wish you all the best. In closing tonight, it is December 23rd right now. Christmas is a couple days away. Please remember the reason for the season. It is Christmas. For those who share in the Christian faith and believe in Christ, that this is our time of year to remember him, to redouble our efforts to be more like him. I try and often fall short. Folks, we need Christmas and we need Christ. And I hope, beyond hope, that you can remember him during this season. Folks, Merry Christmas to you. Happy New Year. I hope to have an episode out before the new year. Thank you so much. Good night.